It's the perennial question in Formula One. Is it important to have more overtaking? How do we achieve it? Do we do it by cutting aerodynamics or mechanical grip? What about the controversial new adjustable rear wing? Let's take the first question then from Christopher Nolan.
Is it becoming increasingly difficult to find solutions to the overtaking problem?
Well, I think, first of all, I mean, it's a very popularist view to say we've got to have more overtaking in Grand Prix. I know in the first 4 races of this year, our 2 drivers contributed 39 competitive overtakes, albeit largely because we made a hash of qualifying. but nonetheless, it demonstrated that it does happen if you've got 2 motivated drivers that want to overtake. You know, we are doing some things, adjustable rear wing next year. I think it's interesting. I think the sporting regulations that accompany it are critical, and I don't think we had enough thought on that yet. I think we've got to try some of these things and be prepared to say we got it wrong, and it wasn't a very good idea, and pull back, which is not what Formula One traditionally did. We've talked about some of those rule changes, and too many of them have never said, actually, we screwed up, let's just reverse out of this one. You don't look so clever. But actually, we have to go into it and experiment a little bit with the show. I think we've had some fantastic races this year. I think we've got a fantastic World Championship fight, which is good for everyone. So maybe now's not the time to change too much, but I think we shouldn't become complacent. We should develop some of these ideas and then just see how we deploy them.
Paul, give us a driver's perspective on this and on what Martin's just been saying, and then also what your feelings are about this adjustable rear wing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the driver's view is they don't want to see kind of what happens in America, where every lap you're just going to see somebody slipstreaming by and all the way down the grid. You want to see each individual battle throughout the whole Formula One grid and people being able to overtake from a mistake or building somebody into pressure in them.
You got a point you'd like to make? Yeah.
I've only been watching Formula 1 now for the last 20 years, since about 4 or 5. And I noticed that back in the day, it used to be all about braking to overtake. Why not just make the brake discs smaller? Increase braking distances, and then that's the main priority for overtaking, surely.
Chuck?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I would just add that the fundamental problem that we face is that the level of driving is so good in Formula One that these guys don't make mistakes. And however small you make the brakes, there is going to be a finite braking distance in which that Formula One car will stop. And the drivers these days simply will hit that braking point on the nail every lap. And there is only one racing line, and unless you're on it, you can't go fast enough to get past people. And the drivers of the calibre we have today will always be on that racing line. That is the fundamental problem. It's not technology, it's not brakes, it's not aerodynamics. It's the fact that if you're waiting for Alonso to make a mistake, you're going to be waiting a long, long time. So I agree with the other guys. We have to be careful we don't lose what we've got this season, which is turning out to be a great, great, great season.
Joss Piggott, where are you? Down the front. Joss.
From your perspective, people inside Formula One, what is the best way to get cars following closely through fast corners so that people can overtake?
Let's start out with Paul on this, I think, because you sit in the cockpit. What's the answer?
Us as driver, when you find these cars closing up on the back of another one, when they get to a point, if they've got good momentum and everything's working well, you can run closely. But then when you fall into the dirtier, you then gain a lot of pickup, your tyres start to then grain a little bit, and you start to lose the performance. But what they've done from the regulations last year, I think, has improved overtaking, and I think what they've got, in the foundation for next year is going to improve that again.
Right, we've got a question from Zachary Gompertz-Mitchelson.
Surely it would be grossly unfair and artificial to give only the following driver the chance to adjust his rear wing, and will it not be greener to give the drivers fully adjustable wings for the whole race?
We actually give our drivers a constantly variable rear wing at the moment, but the other teams don't like it. So I think it was right to introduce the notion of an adjustable rear wing next year to give us that option, because you can't design those things in at last minute. But I think we've got to be careful how we deploy it. And as I said earlier, I think we really have to be careful that we don't just make this a process by which you cruise up behind someone, press a button, and you're past, and off you go. I think we've got to be very careful.